I've been photographing birds for almost 8 years now, and it's been a journey of highs and lows. Incredibly frustrating at times. But I've gone from taking shots like this to shots like this. With a background in commercial photography, I thought I knew my way around a camera, and I thought that just by throwing hours at it, I would improve. But bird photography comes with a unique set of challenges, and there's so many things I wish I'd have known at the start. So that's what this channel is all about. Hi, I'm Sonia, bird nerd, photography fanatic, and lover of small adventures. And today I'm back in East Gippsland, looking for tiny mistletoe birds on a very drab and ordinary Tuesday morning. One major thing I've learnt is that unless you want to limit your bird photography to occasional trips to exotic places, it's all about working with what you have and using your creative vision. Drab days like these can produce surprisingly good results with soft even lighting and extended shooting time. I must be mad trying to shoot these tiny birds in the wind. With very high contrast, we've got some chromatic aberration on this one. There's a lot of standing around and waiting for them to move into the right spot. Don't feel bad if you struggle to get shots of small birds. They are very challenging to photograph. If you're just starting out, I recommend you start with bigger birds first and then slowly work your way up to the ultimate patience testers. I managed a couple of high-key shots, but as I'm not on eye level, they just don't look quite right. Another not quite right with this fantail cuckoo. I don't mind habitat shots, but this looks cramped as he's staring straight into the side of the tree. I've only got so much patience for these small birds, so it's time to move on. Look who I've spied up the boardwalk. It's another small bird, but this one's a little more forgiving. Although I got a quite nice shot at this little dotterel straight away, when you have a cooperative subject, it's really worth hanging around and just seeing what transpires. By waiting another 5 minutes, I ended up with a much more interesting composition and pose. Even though it's hard to see the sun's position today, there will be an optimal direction to shoot in. I like to circle around and look through the viewfinder to find which is the best way I should be facing. Just look at the difference between these two photos taken in opposite directions. By only shooting in the optimal direction, I can avoid that shadow on the face and get a much nicer background. Although getting down low generally does help, sometimes the background just isn't conducive to getting a good shot. Although I'm happy with the pose and the water droplets, there's just too many background distractions, unfortunately. I'm going to go for a drive and check out a new location instead. I often get tips for locations from people I meet in the field, and this is one of them. I'm headed to Wattle Point. It's a banksia forest set at the edge of the estuary. Little bit of sun peeking through, and there's plenty of swans off in the distance. I'll go for a walk and see what I can see. Very tranquil. I may as well take a few photos of the swans just for practice. Again, I'm paying close attention to the way the light is falling and looking for that sweet spot. Even though I know I'm not going to get anything amazing out of this shoot, it's still valuable to test composition ideas and improve hand-to-eye coordination. Besides which, what could be more calming on the mind than watching swans float around? When I see a bird in the distance, like this white-faced heron, I'll take subsequent shots as I edge closer, aiming for where I can get the best background. This might well be shot of the day. I got just the right amount of light on this butcher bird. The right light makes all the difference. And another little mistletoe bird, but a very distracting background. I think the light is past its prime now, but I'm going to come back to this spot. It's got potential. I'm back at the morass, but I just can't get down low enough to soften the background. See what I mean? Sometimes you just have to accept you're not going to be able to get a good shot and move on. I've learnt not to rattle off a whole heap of shots in the hope that they'll turn into something good, because they won't. At least one obliging subject hopped up a bit higher for me. I'm keeping a very low profile because I've come across a juvenile whistling kite. Unfortunately, he's not in the best position for a nice clean shot, but I can enjoy the experience regardless. When you have a memorable encounter, you recall that when you look at your own photo, but it doesn't always translate to the viewer. That's why we have to work quite hard to get a great photo, because we're compressing that whole experience into a flat image. In this case, the viewer is more likely to notice the heavy branches that dominate the scene. Using the in-painting brush tool in Affinity Photo, I have removed a couple of distractions, but it's still not a high quality shot. Not to worry, we can try again tomorrow. It is the challenge that keeps it interesting. I'm heading back to Jones Bay for the 4th time to try and get the red-necked avocets. I'm a bit surprised there's a heap of cars here this morning. Uh-oh, it's open season. It's probably not a good time to go wandering around the estuary. Not to worry, it's on to plan B. There's another spot I want to check out up in the hills. I'm a bit unprepared. I didn't get to do my usual research, but we'll go and have a look. Over time, I've realised it's not realistic to expect to get exceptional shots every trip. I've learnt the value of having the right location, and the truth is, unless you get lucky, it can be difficult to get a quality shot at many places due to the geography, especially if you have limited time. Places with dense bush and tall trees are one of those locations, but they're wonderful places to birdwatch and enjoy the tranquility. For most of us, bird photography isn't solely about getting the shot. It's about getting out into nature and appreciating its beauty. A great photo is just a bonus. I challenge anyone not to smile and enjoy themselves watching sulphur-crested cockatoos fight over seed pods. It's amazing to think this area was completely razed by fire in 2020. If you can get close enough, framing your subject tightly can help move past messy branches. I waited ages for someone to land on this orchid-covered branch, but no such luck. So that was Fairy Magical name, magical place. I look forward to returning here in the future. It's nearly time for me to head back to the Sapphire Coast, but I want to have a second look at Wattle Point before I go. I've been sitting here for a while with plenty of birds coming and going, but the light's gone past its prime now. I took a couple of high-key shots, but due to the high contrast, I feel they're a little over-edited. Keeping the sky out of the equation and having foliage behind would have been ideal, but only one little bird cooperated. These little birds rarely cooperate. And now the wind has really picked up, so that's my cue to leave. I'm on my way back to the Sapphire Coast, but I still have one stop to make on the way home. I'm calling into a place I visited several years ago, and it has a particularly interesting resident, who I'm not likely to see, but I'll probably see that he's there. I'm at the Stony Creek Trestle Bridge, a significant piece of local history and a nice little detour to look for yellow-tufted honeyeaters, a species known to be consistently in the area. While I'm at the bottom near the creek, I want to show you something interesting. Here's a clue to our unusual resident. These little holes with surrounding pile-ups are called chimneys, and down below is the East Gippsland burrowing crayfish, a tiny freshwater crustacean. Even though they spend most of their time underground, they still rely on water to keep their gills moist for respiration, so they're never far from water. One day, I hope to get a photo of one. But for now, I'll focus on something more attainable. I can hear yellow-tufted honeyeaters. But I forgot about one thing. It's Saturday morning and peak hour on the rail trail cycle path. Cyclists have scared off my target. I only managed a fleeting glimpse and they've disappeared into the tall forest. And if you've watched some of my other videos, you know what I think about tall trees and bird photography. East Gippsland is a fantastic place for birding adventures, and I look forward to returning here again soon. Is it just me that pulls their car over and sticks their head out the window, hoping that they're going to be able to hear or see something amazing? Not this time. I'm homeward bound. Happy birding and chat with you soon.